RFK Jr.'s new food pyramid is a huge win for the majority of us because it finally shuts down the food lies that have controlled us for the past 50 years. But even though the rules are changing, we're living in the bodies we built using those old guidelines. Each of us has a metabolic history that impacts how every bite of food affects our health today. So, the food we've been eating for the last 40 years built the body we live in right now, and for the most part, building a body on processed foodstuffs means we built a body that was primed for sickness. Today I'm sharing the 3 healthy foods in the new plan that can still be a trap for most of us because of the metabolic damage that we all live. Please subscribe. It's important for all of us to understand that it's not the person who gets sick, that's the outlier. Metabolic damage is now the standard experience because of the 1992 food pyramid. We were all eating foods that raised our insulin, that caused so much sugar to come in, internal damage. We were all doing the same type of diet. Today, we have an opportunity to eat better quality food and clean up. So every meal you eat is building materials, one swagger. And if you use cheap, processed materials, like we did for the last 40 years, the house that you live in is primed to fail. So the way I want you to think about this is it's like we were going on a vacation. You arrive in the sunny, beautiful location, and every day for that 7 days, you spend 8 hours out in the sun, bathing suit, no sun protection. Possibility that you get a sunburn. But at the minimum, your body's taking a beating from the sun, especially if you're coming from somewhere like Canada where you don't get that much sun, right? With that intensity as you would, let's say, in Mexico. Scenario number 2, 8 hours of sun during that week, but you're wearing sunscreen. You might still get a little burnt, but better than wearing no sunscreen. But then you have scenario number 3, Wellness Warrior, where you are out there and you've got long sleeves, long pants, and a hat, and you still have sunscreen on whatever is possibly showing. You are trying to take in the great atmosphere, but you're not allowing your skin to have 8 hours of just repeated sun hitting it all the time. Here's the thing. It's not just the sun. It's the frequency that you're in that intense experience. If we were eating candy, this stuff, just once a year, our body could process that and we'd be fine. That's not what we do on this Warrior. We eat this stuff every single standard American diet, right? This is pasta. Every single day. Put our nice sauces on our meats, right? Every single day. Standard American diet has you out in the sun without any protection. Now, you might be doing a low carb diet, but you need to understand that there's still carbs in a low carb diet. And that means that all of that vegetation is having some kind of impact. Living in Sun City every day for 40 years, so I did it for 46, is why I was metabolically crispy. That's what happened to me. To understand why our history matters so much, we have to look at how our bodies react to triggers. When your biology is already dealing with years of damage, it becomes very sensitive. This is why the first thing we need to address is the most common illusion in the health world, the idea of complex grains. RFK correctly targets ultra-processed flour. He all of these kind of things. This is a protein bar, and all the things where they're saying, oh, but if you use the right stuff, he targets that stuff. Ultra-processed blah 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 is garbage, and he's saying don't have that stuff. The metabolic reality, though, for every person on the planet, your body doesn't see whole grain as a health food. It sees whole grain as glucose, because that's exactly what it's going to break it down into. There isn't an extra layer of protection because your body isn't just going to break it down part way. It takes it all the way. And if you are insulin resistant, like I was, how do we know we're insulin resistant? You have joint pain, chances are you're insulin resistant. You have extra weight on your body, chances are you're insulin resistant. You have PCOS, chances are you're insulin. There's so many. If you have any metabolic issue, chances are you're insulin resistant. That means that your body needs to produce extra insulin to get the normal functioning to happen. So if you're insulin resistant, even these clean grains, right, these better ones, keep your body fuel burning machinery locked. You're not burning fat for fuel. You are in a carbohydrate story. And that means that you end up actually holding more carbohydrates because every time you eat carbohydrates, they get put away in storage, but that's normal. But then also we are blocking the deep repair that our body wants to do because chances are we're eating a lot. Right? So every few hours when we eat grains and we eat pasta and we eat, like when we're eating things that our body doesn't need, we are constantly putting things in storage and then we feel hungry and we're eating again. That does not allow time for our body to repair itself. One of the first things that I learned when I learned about the keto diet was that the goal was to get our carbohydrate count down to 20 grams of carbohydrates per day or less. Dr. Westman made a very great emphasis on or less. He helped us to understand it's not like about riding that 20 number. If you could be under it, he said, that's great. Right? And why did he say that? Well, the definition of keto was 50 grams of carbs or less. And he actually said to people in that white coat video that I watched, if you are at 50, chances are, if you have any kind of insulin resistance, that's too much for you. And he said, you want to try to be below 20. Him saying, chances are, even 50 was too much for you, helped me to understand that this carbohydrate thing, this had to be a key. This had to be central knowledge that I needed to fully understand if I was going to do this properly. So when I checked how much carbs are in, like, for example, a serving of rice, which I can't remember right now, so I'll put on the screen right here. When I saw that number, I was like, that is too much. That's way too much. And so therefore, because I need to be under 20, that's not going to let me do that for my entire day. I focused my attention on vegetables. I didn't focus on fruit because fruits would put me over the number 2. One apple is 25 grams of carbs. So that wouldn't have worked. And also I don't like fruit. Full transparency. So getting it from fruit was not something I was looking to do anyway. I focused my attention on vegetables. So basically the entire 8 years almost that I'm going to be in February that I've been doing in April, that I've been doing keto, I have been grain free. And I'm happy that I did that because that left the door open for me to eat my vegetables. And that meant I could have a satisfying meal. And I was able to walk forward and not feel like a lot of people tell me they feel deprived. I had a satisfying meal. My body was feeling good. I did not feel deprived. And I did that for 5 years, Wellness Warrior. That all I ate was meat, fish, poultry, eggs, vegetables. And I was fine. I need you to recognize that your body is trying to heal you. This is a huge renovation, right? Because we live in the body as it's trying to fix itself. We give it the right tools, so the right food, and it fixes itself. And I want us to understand how much better it is for my body to fix me than to wait for the medication that will mask the symptoms while my body keeps struggling. So in this effort to try to heal from years of damage, because remember, from the day that I was eating solid food, I was eating standard Canadian diet. You were eating standard American diet or standard Chinese diet or standard wherever you're watching me from right now, from the day you started eating solid food. Trying to heal all that damage, takes about 20 years. So I am going to be 8 years in come April 20th. I'm so happy about that. Am I 8 years in perfectly? No, I've only been, in February, I would have been, I want to say 3 years carnivore. I believe that's correct. I'll have to double check it. If I'm wrong, it'll be on the screen. But I have a way to go, right? There's lots of time between now and when I'm going to be, it's 2 years. But I have ways to go. And most of us do, because even if I look at it, when I was doing keto, those plant matter were still impacting me. Now, on keto, one serving of grain is enough to stop ketosis and stop the healing altogether, right? One serving of grain puts me over the number. My body is going to be in storage mode again, and everything goes back to, and I feel it once where I'm so happy that I have violet syndrome. Whenever I go over my number, whenever I eat something that I'm having reactions to, I learned through this process that I react to nightshades. Can you imagine that I was in so much pain all the time? I didn't know that nightshades were specifically causing my body to scream. And the only way that I figured it out is because I was eating healthy and I wasn't eating many nightshades because potatoes were off the table. And I don't eat tomatoes that often because tomatoes are a bit higher in carbohydrates. So I had taken those off the table. I don't cook eggplant often just because I didn't really know how to cook it. So that was like, again, something that I didn't have. So basically, because these things were off the table, and then one day I brought some tomato back because I was making a specific dish, and violet syndrome. I was screaming in the middle of the night in pain. I would never have known that those nightshades were actively part of why my joints were hurting me had I not done keto and eaten the way that I was told to eat and gotten a lot of that stuff out of my diet. Wellness Warrior, think about it. While you're trying to recover from a sunburn, you'd stay out of the sun, right? So while we're trying to heal our body from learning that we are eating too much carbohydrate, from learning that these processed foods were not good for us, wouldn't it make sense to not have them? We need to stay away from those high sugar grains because they're not helping us. Now, staying away from grains entirely was one of the ways that I gave my body the shade it needed to really heal itself and get my joints going. Like I said, 3 months in, I felt better and I was able to go out and start doing stuff again. But even after the grains were cleared from my plate, there's another food in this new food guideline that can complicate our healing. It's often called nature's candy, and honestly, it's equivalent to candy. For your body, when you're struggling, fruit can be the very thing that causes your body to go right back into that craving cycle, first of all. But second of all, the fructose in fruit and the problems it's causing for your liver. Like, we need to understand that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which one of the high contributors to that condition is high fructose corn syrup, that corn syrup, so they call it corn syrup, but that fructose is coming from what? Vegetation, right? They might be making it from corn, but equally we can get fructose out of fruits and vegetables because that's where we find it. Removing high fructose corn syrup was a massive victory for our children and the general public because for soda, for example, I mean, they will need to figure out another, and they, trust me, they will find another way to sweeten these things. But at least for now, parents know not to feed soda and these fake drinks with sweetened drinks to their children. But we need to understand that the fructose dopamine connection that hijacks our brain and sends us chasing happens when we eat an apple, happens when we eat some kiwi, happens when we have that banana, right? The sweeter the vegetation, the more dopamine released, and like the more chasing you're going to have, and also the more damage that's happening to your liver and whatever other. Dr. Berry pointed out that fructose glycates in the body 7 times as much as glucose. It's a huge deal, Wellness Warrior. What we want is to not be chasing junk food because we thought we had a healthy snack. Because eating those apples and bananas and whatever fruit you happen to love sends you chasing the garbage. It makes these things accessible to us because we want them, because our brain is looking for more dopamine and more, like, it's looking for that hit. And the worst part is your body is putting all of that sugar that you've eaten in fat storage, the exact opposite of what any of us want. Worst? I mean, can it get worse? But does the food even leave you satisfied? No, it triggers you off to be in a loop. Your ghrelin and leptin are all off kilter, and your brain is saying, get me more dopamine, and you end up eating more. Somewhere between an hour and 2 hours later, you're eating again. And we see this happening to ourselves, and we don't know what to do about it. And so it just keeps happening and happening, which leads us to the stupid idea of moderation that we are constantly told we should have. They want us to think that it's our fault that we can't put the stuff down. And we struggle with trying to have one cookie. How come they can have one cookie? And we don't understand that, yes, my grandmother could have one cookie because the stuff that got her was rice, right? And this other person can have a few chips because the stuff that gets that person is ice cream. And the truth of the matter is, when we're in public, we are much more likely to behave because in private, we know we can have more of whatever it is that we're going to have. None of the people that I know ever saw me eat more than one chocolate bar at a time. Did I ever do that? Of course I did. We are not always just displaying. So don't look at other people's, my point, and think that, well, they're doing it, I should be able, because chances are they're not doing it. Whatever is the thing that gets them is getting them. And you're just not there when it gets them. That just one bite or one piece or whatever, it's a complete and total lie, which is told by companies, by the way, because they want to keep us in that sugar cycle. That's part of the reason that they want us eating fruit, because that fruit sugar is going to keep these things on our mind, wellness warrior. And what happens is it becomes this bothersome fixation, right? It's sort of like when you have sand in your pockets and you take the time and you like pull your pockets out and you shake them out and you're like, I got to get that sand out of my pockets. But when you put your hands in your pocket after, you still feel the dang sand. And you can't get rid of the sand because it's there, bothering you, right? These ideas that I want to eat it, it's just there, bothering you, keeping you in the loop. We can't shake the fixation. We usually try to solve it by following the advice that we've heard our whole lives, that we just need to find balance. We think that if we mix these foods together in the right combination, like on one plate, that we're going to be safe. But for our body, especially my body that was struggling so hard, that was already primed for sickness, this attempt at like moderation and balance, and it's more dangerous because these food guidelines, like, it's part of the trap. Prioritizing whole foods is a huge leap forward from like processed stupidity. Like there's nothing processed, right? The food on here is at least food. So yes, that's a step forward, right? But we have to understand that there's certain biological, biochemical things that happen that our body just does, whether we want our body to do it or not. And one of the things is that if we eat fat and carbs, even healthy carbs, together, and there's enough carbohydrate coming in, yeah, our body is going to put that away in in fat storage, regardless of whether or not we needed some energy and we needed, or maybe we needed some protein and lipids, so fats, to build us. If we eat a high amount of carbohydrate, that high amount of carbohydrate cannot just float around in the body. That's a dangerous scenario. Our body is going to put it away, which now means, again, we've locked the doors on our body's ability to repair us. We've locked the doors on our body's ability to use fat for fuel. And we've resumed the dopamine chasing, and we've resumed the like I'm going to be hungry in an hour to 2 hours time. We need to have clarity over this idea of balance. First of all, every single person on the planet, if you eat carbohydrates and fats in the same meal and the carbs are enough, so too much for your body, you are going to be in storage mode first. But second of all, if you have metabolic damage to begin with, and how do I know? Oh, I had weight that I need to lose. I have joint pain. I have PCOS. If I have any metabolic issue at all, my body does not need a little bit of everything. Well, it's never the case, but especially when you have damage, it's not the case. It needs biological correct nutrition. Biologically correct nutrition, right? It needs clean fuel and building blocks, which is what? For the human body, meat, fish, poultry, eggs. That is food, and salt. That is food. And maybe I should add iodine there, as I now learned from Dr. Hampton that everyday iodine and and how much, and I can link that video down below. We need these things every day for us to be healthy. What we don't need, vegetation. Yeah, really simple. Any kind of vegetation. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, we don't need it. It drives me crazy that I will see people at the grocery store with so much stuff in their garbage. They have garbage in their shopping carts. You get to the cash and the amounts they're spending trying to make sure that they're not hungry. They've got snacks. There is meat, usually, thank goodness, some meat, poultry, fish, whatever. But majority are boxed products from the center aisles of the grocery store. You are paying so much money for hunger, right? Do we understand that? So the average person in the U.S., they did the USDA did some kind of calculations. In a home where you have an adult, if you just looked at that one adult, how much food they were eating, female, $11 and 61 cents per day, which comes out to like $300 some per month. And here in Canada, by deciding to eat meat, fish, poultry, eggs, salt, because that's what I understood is actually what my body is asking for when I'm hungry, I can do $3.73 per day, and I'm fine. I'm more than fine. I'm satiated. Usually I'm pretty full. Wellness warrior. We need to understand that the food, and I'm talking about, I eat a pound of meat per day, by the way. We need to understand that the food we eat is going to determine, am I hungry all the time? Or am I satiated? Don't spend your money on a balanced variety and end up hungry, wellness warrior. End up with the damage in your body, wellness warrior. Spend it on nutrient-dense food that helps you to feel amazing, that helps your body to heal. You end up saving money because, first of all, you're full, but second of all, you're healthier. The people selling food want us to focus on balance because it keeps us buying a little bit of everything, and that little bit of everything, so that fruit that you buy, or, these things that you might have once in a while, the soda that you drink, that little bit of everything, or even in this case, these extra things on this food pyramid keep us wanting to eat this stuff. But as my own tracking proves, if you eat nutrient-dense food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, this food pyramid should only have food on it. It has food and it has entertainment. And I feel like that's wrong. It should only have food on it because all the vegetation that's on here is for fun. When you eat those nutrient-dense foods, you're actually eating in the most affordable way because you're eating what's going to help your body to feel satiated. You're eating what's going to help your body to heal. And that means that you will have less medical bills. We have to realize that we aren't just following a chart. We are rebuilding the only house that matters. Where this thing that I live in is the only one that matters. I can buy a new apartment or a new house or a new whatever. Can't get another one of these. So we cannot afford to use the wrong materials, Wellness Warrior. RFK Jr. is doing the hard work of changing the system, but we're the ones who have to perform the renovation on our own body. Every single meal that you eat is either a brick for a body that's primed towards health, or it's a brick for a body that's primed towards sickness. We don't get a vacation from building this, right? We don't get a vacation at all. We all have a metabolic history that we need to heal from, because on some level, all of us were in the standard American diet, standard Canadian diet, wherever you're from, diet foolishness. So we need to, let's support each other, Wellness Warrior. Let us support each other. Like, tell me in the comments what you are doing that you're going to be able to make this your new way of doing things. Let's support each other and make sure that it goes well. But I need you to understand that knowing this food and knowing which foods are trapping us, because I mean, food, I hate calling that stuff food. If it's not meat, fish, poultry, eggs, salt, iodine, it shouldn't be on here. But knowing which things on here are still potential traps is just the first step. You need to know why the healthy plate you were promised has been stalling your fat loss and keeping your biology stuck. So that's why you need to watch the video right here, because this is the mindset shift that you need to be able to do this properly. So click on that link. I'll meet you over there.